I'm sure that you, like everyone, looked through all the comments and scuttlebutt from what Tesla said yesterday. That's the latest data point we have. What do you make of the company's losing money again, much more than people thought? They're going to lose money again next quarter. I mean, where are we at this point in time?
Well, thank you, Joe. And I think that Phil's echoing of the WedTech critique, it really is the worst disaster, I think, of an earnings call in technology a lot of us can remember in a long time, especially for a company of this size and this market cap. When you take a look at each one of these items, any one of them alone is catastrophic. The fact that you have, projecting just a few months ago that we're into the black ink now. No more losses for the company just a few months ago. And now we take a unexpected $702 million loss. That revenue is crashed. Especially with the volume of the Model X and the Model S, that they're down 52%. That we have cash has fallen, 40%. That you look across this with the disappointment across the line. It isn't just that he's dramatically failed in expectations, but it's that he set these expectations himself. When he talks about how crazy or manic a public company can be, it depends who's at the helm. Nobody says that Microsoft, as we were just talking about earlier this morning, is manic, or that Disney, we talked about yesterday, and good for you in defending the fantastic Bob Iger, is manic, is that they're public companies that are very well managed. It's sure that Steve Jobs and Thomas Edison and Henry Ford were wild self-promoters themselves, but they didn't promote beyond what they could deliver. This guy is consistently missing. Are we anywhere near that $425 stock price that he told us about back over the summer when he was going to sell the company supposedly privately for that? The turnover in the staff is crazy. It's still, 55 top executives in the last 18 months, including now again, his CFO and the general counsel, just 2 months, if even 2 months on the job. When's the board going to wake up? Sure, they lost a few people on the board. One of them, Steve Jurvetson, who hasn't shown up for a board meeting in over 2 years because he wasn't allowed because of other problems. That's not a big change. The places, you know what they are? They do understand cruise control, anybody, better than anybody else. The board is on cruise control.
Jeff and Phil, you can weigh in. I think of the polarization of the country. I mean, it's the same with Tesla, bulls and bears. I mean, they could not be further apart, Phil. And I've got people in my ear telling me that this is going to be the biggest disaster in the history of the world. I've got other people saying that this company is going to change the way history looks at transportation forever. And I'm just wondering, Phil, is this the beginning of some slow motion implosion or another temporary setback where they just get it together again logistically and back on track? Do you know?
There's no way of knowing. There is no way of knowing, because every time you say, here's proof, one way or the other, that these guys are either a disaster or they are visionaries who are leading us to a new business model in the auto industry in the future. Anytime you see something in either direction, something completely opposite happens. And I can, I've had this debate with both bulls and bears, and it's very easy to make the counter argument to either of them that they're wrong with whatever view they are presenting, in part because of evidence that is provided by Tesla. They do things that make you say, what? What are you thinking? Then they do other things and you say, spot on. You are right about that. So, Joe, I hate to give you this answer, but there's no way of knowing.
No, I knew that was the answer. Jeff's got some. What do you think happened today in terms of, what's going to happen with the meeting today? The SEC stuff, or the stuff you're on for, not the earnings.
Thanks. It's hard to see that they're just charismatic. I'm happy to talk about earnings, by the way. We didn't talk about, of course, the consequences of all of his other misses in his forecast. But, yeah, the SEC issue, that he was scoffing, of course, the SEC and basically making fun of the court at the same time, but referring to it as the Securities and Exchange Commission as the short sellers exoneration committee or whatever, enrichment committee. That's ridiculous. And making mockery of his own board, Robin Denholm as chairman, saying she's got no control over him. After making a legal commitment in terms of a consent that they resolved in the fall, and then they violated that. They said, after he violated it, by the way, in December, He then, the board said, we have a 2-page memo. Here's how we're going to vet anything that has to do with any company forecast. Well, they didn't, and they're still not. I mean, what's the proof of that? Well, you know, Phil, if to ask Phil if he's still on with us, is there any way, Phil, that you wouldn't take a bet with me that there's no way he's going to have 1 million taxis, autonomous taxis this time next year, as he says? I mean, that's just ludicrous. He's going to have a fully autonomous car by the end of this year? No. So the SEC says you're still making up these wild forecasts.
What about a silent leaf blower, though, Jeff? That's what that's the one I'm most excited about.